Hello, good morning. It's morning, and I think it's actually lunchtime, but I've been off this morning. I've had 2 days, I've actually got 5 days off. Work's dried up a little bit this last week, and then we've got a bank holiday plus a weekend, so that gives me 5 days in which to get on with all things SFM, which is great. And um, that's why I'm calling in this morning. Something's happened, and I'm in a bit of a mess. And all because, well, I think I've always been in a mess. I just cover it. And the one of the videos I watched yesterday in here was by Danielle, and she gave a lovely story about when she was a child and how things that her dad didn't help her, encourage her, and stuff around things, and it really shook me to the core. And I've messaged her, and it's really knocked me sideways. And only yesterday, I think I was saying what a good week I'd had, and it just shows how very fragile that can be, or certainly in my circumstance, I guess sometimes. And I kind of didn't sleep much last night. I was just thinking of reevaluating my whole situation of what I'm doing and where I am and everything. And the fact of Danielle and other people in this film 90-day project open up about things and stuff that's gone on, and I find it amazing. And I thought maybe I should do something like this and it would help. But I kind of stopping myself, thinking that I have to do this if I get to that point where I feel I can do it. It has to be on. So I've seen some people do the live video, and I thought that's the only way I think I could do this, because I'm going to keep stopping and reshooting it as soon as you get emotional, or if you get a bit upset about what you're talking about. Because a lot of it, as in a lot of people, it's just under the surface. And when you put that little front on and pretend that all's well, or whatever we do, and I've been, as I've said in many of my film shots, I've been studying this and psychology and human behavior and fascinated by it, and how we're all affected. But sometimes if you turn that camera back onto yourself, which is what I'm doing, it's always easier to help someone else, and we'll do far more to help someone else than we will ourselves. I think that's a known trait, and I'd love to help other people with what I know and what I've learnt. But it's getting that help for yourself and neglecting yourself. And I'm realizing that with this journey, and with the challenge that I want to create this new life, and finally, and I'm going to say it, finally allow myself to be successful. And I think, having looked back over my childhood, and most people's problems start in the childhood, I understand that, and I think my overall, I was talking with, let me give you a little lead to this. A few nights ago, I had some queries I wanted to ask with Anita and Steve about what I was doing with Facebook and bits and bobs for the business. And we had a nice chat, and very nice chat. And those problems were sorted, and it was excellent. And my battery was charged and topped up, which led to this last week of good, positive things. But something came up, and Steve asked me a question about something I'd mentioned about success and appearing confident, but not having all the confidence that I need to seem to get me to that point of success. And he just said something, and it hit the nerve, and I was a bit emotional and a bit upset on the phone. And the stupidity of me, when the phone call was finished, and I'd gone back into, either gone to bed, or I was downstairs or somewhere. I was great. The fact that I'd got the problem solved the on the surface problems of what I wanted to answer, but I hated myself, the fact that I'd been emotional. And it wasn't so much the fact that I'd been emotional, it was, what did Steve and Anita think? That I'd let myself down and let my front down, and said and held back being a bit tearful on the phone and a bit sort of in the voice. And that, reflecting on that this last few days, means I need to get this sorted, because it makes you feel, or makes me feel fake, and that I'm not being real. But that doesn't, see how it messes your head. You don't want to be weak and crying and emotional, and every time someone says something to you, you burst into tears. Then you are weak and you become a pain in the ass to everyone. But you also need to allow the fact that you are hurting, and maybe ask for help, or like Danielle did, to just talk it out. But where can you talk it out? And get a decent listen, and a decent non-judgmental reaction. And maybe just by seeing what I've been learning on this journey, that this is possible here. And nobody, I don't know, I'm rambling. Maybe I should leave it there. Maybe I should leave it there. And I'm not going to reshoot this. I'm going to put this through, and then maybe that will lead to doing something live where I'll talk about some things that have bothered me, but maybe I'll do it another day. But that's enough. I think something's shifting inside, and I have to deal with this, and I have to get the help with it. And otherwise it's going to ruin this new venture. And God, I've done some things and always held back at the point of success. And what's the word? What's it called? Oh, I can't think of the word. Scuppered it, whatever. Pulled back, jeopardized it, tainted it, ran away. Fear of success. And that fear of success, I'm going to say it, that fear of success all goes back to childhood with parents and family. And there was nothing there, no interest in me, certainly as I was getting a little bit older and started questioning the world and wanting to know and growing, and had a wanderlust for the world and interesting things, and I wanted this and go here and go there and do this and be this. And the more I wanted it and talked about it, the less I was noticed. And I couldn't get my head around that. And I remember some being said once, where we don't know where you came from. Are you from another planet? And as a kid, I don't know whether that hurt at the time. I thought it was perhaps funny, or it's done in jest. But as I've got older, that's kind of really hurt, because they were giving away far more of what they thought of me, and how maybe I made them feel uncomfortable, than the actual joke at the time. So yeah, there's a great saying the Australians, our friends in Australia, say, and they call it the tall poppy syndrome. And as you stick your head above everyone else, you get it chopped off. And that's exactly how I felt it. Certainly looking back as well, when I was younger, and 16, 20, 25, 22, around that area, where I finally pulled away from the family that wanted to keep me in my place. And I used to get my mother would say, "You've got a bob on yourself," and maybe people haven't heard that, but I think it basically means you think you're something better than you are. And he used to say all the time to people, "He's got a bob on himself, he has." And just because they were probably confident, or they were interested in something different. And bearing in mind that this lady, who's my mother, didn't drive a car, have a driving license till she was 40s, never been on an aircraft, never been on a ship, barely been out of the village, done nothing. And it's, I don't know. Dad was pretty much the same, a little bit less, but pretty much the same. Anyway, I think that's enough. I'll reevaluate and think about this and see if I can find a way around it. Yeah, take care. Bye bye.